Jason Statham's story begins not in the spotlight, but on the cold, harsh streets of Shirebrook, a town where survival came before dreams. Born on July 26, 1967, Jason's early life was marked by struggle. Raised by his mother, Eileen, a dancer, and his father, Barry, a miner, painter, and street seller, he grew up in a household that was anything but glamorous. From a young age, he learned the value of hard work, often assisting his father in selling jewelry and perfume in the markets. Jason recalls a childhood where comfort was a distant luxury and survival was the only priority. Despite this, he found solace in movement, something that would later shape his career. He was never afforded the privilege of a carefree youth, but instead, Jason developed a quiet resilience that would carry him through the toughest times in life. It's a passion for diving and early sacrifice. At the age of 12, while most boys his age were playing football, Jason discovered his passion for diving. He began training at the Crystal Palace National Sports Centre, a place where he would spend countless hours mastering a craft that would soon define him. Though he started later than most divers, the discipline and focus he exhibited set him apart. In 1990, he represented England at the Commonwealth Games, an impressive feat for someone who had only been diving for a few years. However, in 1992, just shy of qualifying for the British Olympic team, Jason's dreams of diving at the highest level were dashed. Though the loss was heartbreaking, Jason's response was one of quiet determination. Rather than wallowing in disappointment, he simply moved forward, knowing that life had more lessons in store for him. Life on the streets of London. After his dreams of becoming an Olympian were shattered, Jason found himself in London with no medals to show for his years of sacrifice. Between 1993 and 1996, he lived a life far removed from the world of sports, hustling on the streets and selling cheap trinkets and perfume to make ends meet. The city was unforgiving, and Jason spent his nights in cramped, uncomfortable rooms, often waking up to see his breath fog the air. Despite his struggles, he never lost his sense of dignity. Jason would later admit that he wasn't proud of his hustle, but he refused to steal to survive. Every night he would train in secret, pushing himself to stay fit and ready for whatever might come next. He knew that survival was not just about making money, but about maintaining a sense of self-worth. The spark of opportunity. In the late 90s, Jason's life took an unexpected turn. While continuing his training at Crystal Palace, he was spotted by a talent scout who was impressed not by his looks, but by his raw, authentic presence. Soon after, Jason found himself modeling for brands like Tommy Hilfiger and Levi's. Though his modeling career was brief, it helped him stay afloat during a time when he was still struggling to find stability. However, the real breakthrough came when director Guy Ritchie saw something in Jason that no one else did: truth. Guy didn't ask him to audition for the role of a street hustler in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Instead, he asked Jason to simply be himself. The film's success launched Jason into the limelight, forever changing the trajectory of his life. A new level of stardom with Fast and Furious, and the Meg Jason's fame reached new heights with the Fast and Furious franchise, where he played the villain in Fast and Furious 7, 2015. The film grossed over $1.5 billion worldwide, and Jason became a household name. In 2018, he starred in The Meg, a film that grossed $527 million globally. By the age of 51, Jason had achieved everything he had dreamed of in the action world. However, behind the cameras, the truth was far different. While the world saw a man who seemed invincible, Jason was fighting his own battles, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Hollywood loved his fists but not his feelings, and Jason had learned that fame came at a high price. Love, heartbreak, and the price of fame. Jason's love life was marked by a series of high-profile relationships that were often overshadowed by his demanding career. His first major relationship was with Kelly Brook, a model and actress who was already a star when they met. The pressure of rising fame and the distance between them eventually led to their breakup. Jason's next relationship with Sophie Monk, an Australian singer, also ended due to the pressures of his busy schedule. He would later reflect on how difficult it was to balance love with the constant demands of his career. In 2010, he met Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, a model who brought a sense of calm to his life. Their relationship grew slowly but steadily, and in 2016 they became engaged. A year later, their son Jack Oscar was born, marking a new chapter in Jason's life. For the first time, he could feel at peace, knowing that he had found someone who loved him for who he truly was. Family life and finding peace. In 2022, Jason and Rosie welcomed their second child, Isabella James. Jason's life had transformed from one of constant motion and risk to one of quiet family moments. Though his career continued to thrive, he now found fulfillment in the simple pleasures of life. Mornings with his children, weekends in the countryside, and evenings spent at home with Rosie. Jason's life was no longer about chasing fame or conquering the next big film. It was about finding balance and creating a peaceful life for his family. Despite the success, Jason remained grounded, never forgetting where he came from. He continued to train daily, not for the camera, but for life itself. He understood that the fight wasn't about being the toughest man in Hollywood, it was about finding grace after survival. The legacy of survival and simplicity. Today, Jason Statham stands as a man who has achieved everything he once dreamed of: fame, fortune, and success. But it is the simplicity of his life that defines him. With a net worth of over $120 million, Jason has built a life that is both humble and rewarding. He owns properties in London, Beverly Hills, and Malibu, but it is not the material wealth that matters most to him. Instead, it is the peace that he has earned through years of struggle and survival. He still gives back, supporting sports charities and foundations for underprivileged youth. Jason no longer chases headlines. He lives quietly with his family, cherishing the moments that truly matter. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. His life is his legacy, a testament to the power of resilience, hard work, and the quiet joy that comes from living authentically.